J'ai perdu mes réacteurs, je n'ai plus d'aile, je ne plane pas. Je tombe à 100 000 à l'heure, à ce choc, non, je ne survivrai pas. Ça m'a frappé en plein cœur, j'ai merdé ça, je ne le cache pas. J'essaie de nous garder en l'air, mais les commandes ne répondent pas. Alors je lance un SOS. Allô, est-ce que quelqu'un me reçoit? Je veux réparer mes maladresses, mais les mots ne suffiront pas. Alors je lance un SOS, et j'espère que tu m'entendras. Notre amour est en détresse, est-ce que tu me reçois? Tour de contrôle, m'aider. Est-ce que tu pourrais m'aider? Je sens que je vais m'écraser. J'ai besoin de toi. Tour de contrôle, m'aider. Oh, non, ne me laisse pas tomber avant que je fasse tout sauter. J'ai besoin de toi. Tour de contrôle, m'aider.
Senti-moi déboussolé, l'amour ça presque tombé dans l'eau. Tout ça me fait pas marcher, pas de force encore gaz à zéro. Allô, est-ce que vous tendez? Est-ce qu'on recevra signal radio? Moi pas contre s'il a passé, moi profitez vous yon dernier mot. Alors je lance un SOS. Allô, est-ce que quelqu'un me reçoit? Je veux réparer mes maladresses, mais les mots ne suffiront pas. Alors je lance un SOS, et j'espère que tu m'entendras. Notre amour est en détresse, est-ce que tu me reçois? Tour de contrôle, m'aider. Est-ce que tu pourrais m'aider? Je sens que je vais m'écraser, j'ai besoin de toi. Tour de contrôle, m'aider. Non, ne me laisse pas tomber avant que je fasse tout sauter. J'ai besoin de toi.
Je te lance un SOS, et j'espère que tu m'entendras. Notre amour est en détresse, est-ce que tu me reçois? Sushi man, ou c'est oxygène, sans ou moins pas rien. Oh, baby, hurry up, hurry up, Mayday, hurry up, hurry up.
Moi pas ou ticket, moi pas la game sushi man, ou c'est oxygène, moi sans ou moins pas rien. Oh, baby, hurry up. Now hurry up. Viens sauver m chérie. Baby, ou pas qu'à quitter moi. Oh.
Baby, hurry up. Viens sauver m baby. Pas qu'à quitter moi. Tour de contrôle, m'aider. Est-ce que tu pourrais m'aider? Je sens que je vais m'écraser. J'ai besoin de toi. Tour de contrôle, m'aider.
Machin masse avancé. Hey, mi masse arrivé. veut sauter, 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 sauter. On ne veut pas de la violence, on veut la masse puissance. Nous qu'a fait sa propre, nous pas là pour choquer. Mon amas qu'arrive si ou pas choqué. Sous pas ça marcher, foutez aussi côté. On ne veut pas de la violence, on veut mettez toute colère en cieux. Laissez des gens marrons, feu, son cas c'est bien. Bon qui de jambon fromageux, belle petite femme mon Dieu. Max fini, on rencontre local. Mi-mas l'arrivée. Mi-mas là. Mi-mas l'arrivée. Mi-mas là. Fais ses fouettes, la pète est sec. Mi-mas là. Fais ses mouns la crier. Mi-mas là. On ne veut pas de la violence, on veut sauter, 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 sauter. tell you. You have to make choices. C'est comme ça. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Bonsoir à tous. Bonsoir à toutes. Good evening to everybody. For those who listen to us from the south side, north side, Pinel, Tintamar, Anguilla, Sembats, and those on the phones and them. So, how you guys know, today is jeudi for me and some people. And sorry for the late because, you know, when you have some special people in the house and conversation, they have to greet Patu, they have to greet Patricio, and they have to greet Piper before they reach in the studio. So that's why we were late. So I apologize the 10 minutes, but the 10 minutes I ain't giving back to my guests because when I turn the camera, you guys will know who I have in the house, why we late, because she had to greet all the Patus she met outside. So j'espère que tout le monde va bien. Jeudi 8 février 2023. Je reçois une grande dame qui est dans la maison ce soir avec moi. Ils disent en français, c'est seulement dire bonjour, je pense. Mais je pense qu'elle va dire deux petits mots en français et après on va aller en anglais pour ceux qui sont sur les réseaux sociaux. Ils ont vu qui j'ai guess, il y a eu des élections. And voilà. So guys, tonight I have a big lady in the house with me. They had the election. So tonight I bring her back to know if she's still campaigning. And she will say two words in French because, you know, she already said bonjour, ça va? So we was late because when she reached the studio, she had to greet Patu, Piper, Patricio, and all of them. So that's why we couldn't be in time. But the 10 minutes is not the election. I'm not giving back the election. So tonight I have MP. Tonight I have MP Derival with me now with me in the house. And we'll talk about campaign. We will not touch about how, because you know she's still MP until when? Friday midnight?
Yeah, well, no. Hang on. No, I'm on. Until Saturday 9:30 or so.
Okay.
We're swearing in. Bonsoir, c'est Martin.
La
prochaine fois, je vais parler en français.
For the last year, tu vas parler en français. La dernière fois, tu as dit que tu vas parler en français.
Merci pour l'invitation.
Bienvenue à Saint-Martin.
Bienvenue dans la côté français.
Listen.
Good evening, St. Martin.
Okay. No, you know your song good because you know you're done again, and everybody want to go back home.
No, but they're already home. Eh?
No, I want to go home.
No, but you want to stay here 10 minutes extra since we start.
No, you get in that 10 minutes. You get in that 10 minutes.
I like how you're telling everybody my business.
Patu gonna give that 10 minutes because you and Patu, I got 20 minutes late.
No, man, no. But it's good I haven't seen Patu in a long time. I only see him in passing, so seeing him tonight was fun. Maybe he might come in and join us and surprise us and give us like a little 5-second, preview of, I don't know, good stuff that happened.
You don't have 10 minutes with Patu, but you want extra. But anyway, MPD, how are you?
I'm great. I'm good.
Since we know you had since December, it's November, you guys started to campaign, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, postulation.
And so you feel the campaign, you elected, always campaigning?
I mean, yes, I think if you want a future in this and if you want to keep contributing back to your country and making sure that you have a place, you just have to continue performing. You have to continue making sure that you have a connection. with your population. You have to always keep your ear to the ground so that you can understand what is going on, what the hot topics are, what people care about, what is bothering them, how you can improve their lives. If you think that campaign is just the 6 weeks before election, then you probably got a rude awakening during with the election results, or you got exactly what you expected because of the work that you've been doing all the time. And then, for those persons listening that might consider a career in this, just make sure that you have a history of helping people. Make sure you have a history of connecting with people and being, contributing to your community in one way or another. It doesn't have to be public, but it does have to be in a way that you are improving the life of someone, even if it's just a single person. But that's important. That's important to be in this kind of environment. And I think the only thing that I can say about the election is that exactly what I was telling people beforehand, that they will get a message from St. Martin. They will get a message from the voters. That message was received. It was given. The message was received. And I think that message, if I can interpret it my way, not I think, I believe the message is we want change and we want action. And you saw that in the results of the elections. If you look at the results, especially with the sitting Council of Ministers, you had 2 persons that were not in the Council of Ministers or not part of the coalition that got more than they did. And then you have more, you have others that their results would have surprised you, knowing that they were the sitting government. And that's the change I'm talking about. That's the message I'm talking about. That I don't think people should be upset or disappointed about results. Results are a response to how much you give. And I'm talking about time, I'm talking about commitment, I'm talking about action. So when you see that if you are in the government and your results are not what they expected, it's because your people don't believe in what you have been doing. That is the reality of it. This is politics. This is what it's about. It's not about, it is partially something to do with popularity, but politics is about service to your people. If you think it's about popularity, you'll be disappointed.
So MP, we see the votes almost double what you had the last election. How do you feel? Did you expect to have that amount, because that was your first time in PFP party, and then did you expect to have this amount of vote? I don't have the number, but I know you have it in your head because.
I mean, you know what happens every time, and I have to say this so that so the public can get to know a little bit of me, but the sense of when you're everybody that is running in elections, they are all working up to this moment of the results coming in. So the first thing that's going to stick in your head is your original results, and then when you have a recount, you're like, okay, I should consider the actual real number, and then it takes some time for that number to sink in. So yes, I think last election, my amount was 267. And then it changed to 266. Okay. So when I think they had a recount, or when the final numbers came in. But so that's why I said you always remember your old numbers. And so this time around, my numbers that came in, the original number that came in was 576. And then when the recount happened, it went down to 569. But you asked me if I expected that, and absolutely I expected to go up in votes. Because from the first time, and I've said this to most people when I've been asked publicly, it's nothing that I hide. I had friends and family that's plain to my face told me they didn't want to vote for me on the party that I was on beforehand. They say, we love you and everything, but it's our principle, it's a principle of where you are that we don't want to vote for you there. And I said, thank you for telling me. I appreciate that honesty. So I knew already that there were so many people like that didn't want to vote for me on the party that I was on the last time around. And subsequently, what happened was I left, and I came, and I was welcomed with open arm into a new party that I very, very much aligned myself with even before I did that. So it was such an easy transition. So the expectation was that yes, I was going to do better than last time. because of the fact that the communication I have with my supporters told me so. Um, well, I'm so grateful for what I got. I know you wanted to talk. I'm so grateful for the numbers I got, but again, I am not surprised because people were sending a message for a long time. And if you didn't tap into that message that they were sending, or if you didn't tap into what they were asking for, then you would have missed your chance to perform and have them come and support you. And really, what resonated with people, what connected with people with me was the fact that I was just dead honest with them. They got the communication that I gave them, especially in the last year, was just honesty. I was consistent in the sense of how I questioned in Parliament. I also had a track record of doing things where I also didn't go out and brag about what I did. Part of my job being, whether it was a Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transportation, and Tourism, I did what I had to do from my job. I don't need someone to give me flowers for doing my job. I don't need someone to give me, praise and blow smoke for me doing my job. That's my job, So even as an MP, holding government accountable, I did my job. But when you see where St. Martin is now, the people are hurting. They were hurting. They continue to hurt. And if they are not going to get a solution for the problems that they're in, they're going to go to someone else. And that's just the way it works. And yeah.
So MP we see for NSCDC, we was close to the election. PFP party, most other candidates we received, you guys were ready, and I even tell to the leader of the party, and that shocked on how she managed to capture you guys, make sure you guys know everything. And today, when we see the results for the party, PFP didn't lose the election. They gained vote, and you come in, you gain more votes. So, what's the future of PFP? I have this question because we see in other parties, and the leader he really capture votes, but maybe the second or the third in the party get more votes. At this moment, at what are you doing? Because we don't take 10 minutes commit. What? Sorry?
Yes. 790.
So,
1990.
Okay, so Mr. Gum still the leader is have no change. We
No.
go in that.
No.
Because we see other parties, the leader didn't make it, so they had to.
That's how they do things. Our party remains Melissa Gums. Our party leader remains Melissa Gums. It is not the it's not the philosophy of the party that the person with the most votes gets to be leader. I think that is something that happens if you have a discussion with the board, and you do like the other parties, what you see them do as a congress, and then they vote for that. If you want to do that, then I think you could stand up and say, I would like to lead now, and I'm sure that it would be an opportunity, but that's not the way that we work. The leader is Melissa. She's also the faction leader in Parliament, and there's in terms of the future of PFP, we're going to continue pushing what we have been pushing already. Maybe in the course of 4 years, something new will come up, but we're going to keep pushing what we saw, what we had in our manifesto, and what St. Martin reacted to, and they did when they came out and they voted, and you saw the results. The frustrating part, for instance, is just how many parties you have on the other side. So it makes it very difficult to combine and have a coalition. That's the frustrating part. And when people see the results, the argument comes back up again of whether or not it should be a two-party system. I think that's part of the debate and conversation that has to happen in the future of how we want things to be done, and we'll see how things go for the next 4 years, the next term.
So MP, we see election now. How they call the future government, the 2x4 government coming up, and how negotiation went on, because as an MP you're supposed to be part of this negotiation.
And the negotiation in the initial stage, I mean, you go and you speak with people, and part of the discussion is how the portfolios are going to be divided, and you want to always get the best person in a ministry, especially the person had background experience, work experience. either in the industry before or in the ministry, it makes your job even easier to place them. And for this one, I mean, you know already the Council of Ministers is 7 ministers. You also have a minister
Yeah.
plenipotentiary in the Netherlands, and that's pretty much it in terms of placements that you're negotiating. So the negotiation really went on who is the best candidate, let's say, or the way that we entered. I can talk for PFP openly. The way that we went in was we wanted to put our best candidates forward based on their background, based on their CV. I think it's something that most people should consider when they're considering going into a ministry. And then when the more they do that, the more St. Martin will regain trust in the process that the best person is there in the job, and then that person will come under scrutiny like every other minister before to see whether or not they did accomplish what they were supposed to. You know, being a minister is just like any other job. You have to perform or you get out. And you get out by not being voted back in parliament so that you can be placed in a ministry that you think you can contribute the most to. It's a combination of what you think you're going to be good at, but also being realistic as to whether or not you're the best person for that ministry. And
So
you
now,
need to be honest with yourself.
yeah, so now we see government or new government. Did at any time the actual government contact you guys to form a government, a government with them?
I think everyone spoke to each other. I think everyone spoke to each other. But we have a rule in PFD that there's no side conversations that happen. We've been open about it beforehand. Everything goes to the leader. Not that we're not all involved in it. We're all there. In terms of the elected candidates are there in the conversation. So it's not a one-sided conversation. But when it comes to the way things used to be in St. Martin, and I think the way it still is for some people, is that a bunch of different people can start calling you, besides the ones that actually ran on a list. And then that's where things kind of get complicated because it's like, wait. We're going all over the place. You can get sidetracked, you can get brainwashed, you can all of a sudden, somebody tell you something, the whole focus you had changes. So the best, the best way to avoid miscommunication and any confusion coming out of a very, very crazy election like this is to have a centralized way of communication. And that's what PFP has done before, and that's what they did now, and they will always do, is that any discussion of negotiation goes through Melissa. I mean, I had people contact me and I was like, thanks,
Okay.
yes, congrats to you too, but this conversation warrants a conversation with the party leader. I am the party leader. I could be there, but you need to call the party leader, not me. Because the thing is you also have the risk on the Dutch side where coalitions used to change very, very rapidly, not only before election, after election with the foreman, but also during the course of government, which is why you'd never had a government for 4 terms yet beforehand, except for this one that just is about to end now. But yeah, it's a lot happening. But no, we have very clear rules on how communication happens, and that's what's kept PFP together and everyone on the same page of where things are going, where they might potentially go, and we expect most people to do the same. We explain to people this is how we work, and it's been successful. I've seen it in action myself, and hopefully they follow the same thing. Otherwise, you're gonna get sidetracked. You're gonna have conversations. You're gonna have people making videos or calling in somewhere and saying a bunch of stuff and creating a conca out of nothing. And if you don't have that very strong centralized communication, you're done for.
So MP, why you didn't choose maybe to be a minister? Because we seen him coming up. I don't know if it's
How you
confirmed.
know I didn't choose?
Because I don't know, but we know it's a Martin. Whatever we hear is rumor. It's sometimes the truth. So,
Yes, we were sometimes the truth. Okay, there's St. Martin. Just because He said that what you hear is rumor. Sometimes the truth doesn't mean it's the truth.
Okay. Okay.
No. I mean, you mean where there's smoke, there's fire?
Mhm.
I mean, I don't have anything. I don't have anything to hide. I am going to stay in Parliament. I think that people need to understand the role of Parliament is to hold the ministers accountable. And in this conversation with Melissa, what I've said is, man, you have 2 years. You have a little over 2 years over me in terms of not just Melissa, all the MPs that were there, to understand the whole process of being in Parliament, being an MP, your role, the significance of your role, and I'm going to repeat that: the significance of your role as a parliamentarian to hold government accountable. And right now, in my reflection with Melissa, I was like, wow, we're going to have a lot of work these next 4 years because we are going to be holding government accountable. And you have a coalition of 4 parties. We're trying to streamline where we are centralized, where we meet, where we have common ground, and making sure that that common ground is enough glue to keep us together. But it's going to be continuous. It's not to say that any relationship you have, whether it's within the same party or whether it's within a group of parties, it's always going to be a lot of maintenance. It's always going to be a lot of people management. So it's the same thing here now, right? You just have 4 different parties. So we're looking at common ground. We're looking at the areas where we're a little bit further apart, and then you have to have really open and honest dialogue. And that's how it's been every meeting we've had. We're like, okay, well, if you're not, let me tell you how we do it in PNP. Every uncomfortable thing has to come up. And if you are not willing to do that, then you will run into problems. But we've all agreed that up front that whether you hear rumors, like you said, you have to talk about it, and that's already happened. People bring it up, whether they send it in a message or they do it when we're in a meeting, and that's really important. And it gives me hope about the communication within the group. Is that you need to kill it before it has a life of its own, and it's been working so far. So we'll see.
So do you guys as MPs, because we had other candidates for the campaign, were saying the laws, the lot of laws, and you guys as opposition wasn't really doing
That's pretty
laws.
funny.
So do we expect from this new government to see new laws coming in Parliament?
So I'm so sorry that I chuckled, because the whole role of Parliament is to hold the government accountable. And even though we're the legislative branch, we can initiate a law from us. It is not our main task.
Okay.
So laws, and I want to explain this publicly so that people understand that. Imagine I'm the one working. I'm the one making cars every day. I know all the details of making that car every day, and all of a sudden, the person who's the board member is gonna start telling me to change the whole thing of the car. I'm the one making the cars and I'm the one driving the cars. But then you have the person that is literally sitting up in an office, all of a sudden gonna say, hey, I had this great discussion with someone and they said that the cars should actually all have square wheels instead of circle. And we're passing a law up there with really no everyday knowledge of it. And then we're passing a law because we're the ones in control. We're the higher, we're the legislative branch. And then they have to do it. They have to go ahead and process it. And then when it comes down, and this is what happens in the worst case scenario, when it comes to they're like, what do you want me to do with this? If I put square wheels on it, it can't go anywhere. That is the worst of how things should not work in terms of Parliament making laws. So I say that because it's very easy for people to say you should be making laws up there. What people have done is pass motions. What they have done a lot of is pass motions. I look at motions as a promise or a request because we can't even send instructions to them. You can hold ministers accountable in the sense of if they are not doing what they're supposed to do when you bring them in and you question them, then you hold them accountable and you can give them a warning, and then you can give them their leaving their vote of no confidence to go. But there's an escalation system that is fair to happen in that scenario. Now, the more ideal situation is, let's say you've been there in the ministry beforehand, you have very good dialogue with them as well as with your stakeholders outside of government, that's in private sector, and you guys know that you have to have this done. You're doing it, let's say a parliamentarian, you're doing it with dialogue across the board continuously. You're getting input from them. Then go ahead and start your law from up there and do it. That's not what really happened. What really when people are saying, "Oh, we passed laws," but I don't even think we passed like one. We passed like one.
Okay.
In terms of initiating a law,
Okay.
like we have amendments and stuff. So I just want to explain that it's not to say that we can't do it. It is not our core task because there's one lawyer in Parliament before, like right now, up until swearing in,
Yeah.
and then when we swear in, there's going to be another lawyer in. So if you're passing legislation, make sure you have your legislative lawyers over there. I'll give an example of when my dad was working on the timeshare law with Roy Mullen. They did have a judge and a legislative lawyer helping them. It was an initiative, it was a new law that they were bringing in to protect timeshare owners so that they could have title for the period of time that they have their timeshare. And that way they had something tangible to hold on to for protection in the long term. If someone was trying to say, you have nothing for your 3 months of timeshare you own per year. And that law was made and written in English. And then it was sent, the law was passed unanimously and it was sent to government. And they didn't ratify it. And then one of the issues that they said from the government level, the council of the executive level was, it has to be in Dutch.
Okay.
And then nothing happened again. And now you're waiting for it to be ratified. And this is what I'm talking about. This is one of the first laws that was done in this since 2010, but it's still there lingering because someone else has to do the work, and the one that has to do the work has to come from executive. So for me, and it's the same thing in business, I feel like the people who are in the job every day, it's either they initiate and tell you, hey, Parliament, I need you all to do this and square, we're sending this up for amendments to you guys, go through the process, you review it, any questions you have, let us know. That's the real way that it should be doing for efficiency. If you're in Parliament and you want to start a law, you better make sure that your law is not a law that you want to bring in that's going to be only for your friends, and then you forget to do the dialogue with the rest of the people that's going to be influenced by that law. Like one of them wanted to do it to keep all the restaurants and clubs open until 5 o'clock in the morning, right? But it was a law that you didn't think through. You didn't think through this law because you went to do it for your friends that own clubs and own restaurants that turn into a nightclub. So you're appeasing just a very, very select few, but you didn't have a dialogue with neighborhoods. You didn't have a dialogue with hotels. You didn't have a dialogue with the community at large that is going to be the one that is having these negative effects of your selfish law that you passed in Parliament without a dialogue with the ministry, a proper dialogue, a fair dialogue, because you wanted to do it to make your friends happy that own restaurants that are still open it at night and nightclub. And this is the worst case scenario I want to tell you, and this is the problem that we've had in Parliament beforehand, because you're making stuff only for your people and not the collective, not the whole. And I mean, we can, again, I have laws that I'm working on that I said that when I came in, there was a legislative lawyer that we were working with. Well, I can say we now because now I'm part of PFP. And they gave me the assistance to start working on mine. And part of the work that I'm doing, which is, and look at how long we've been working already on it. It's not something that happens in 1 month because it's such a legal language is so specific. You have to make sure you think of all the ramifications of what you're trying to implement. As in, we're banning plastic, but then we're talking about plastic bags, but then you have plastic wrapping on everything, and then you have plastic bottles, and so you have these patty bags, plastic. So what kind of plastic bags are you going to ban? This is where I'm saying it takes a long time. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you have to be very thorough. The more open you are with your stakeholders, the more success you will have in making sure that it's passed and it's long lasting. But when someone tells you, oh, that people didn't do laws, that's not our task. If we were supposed to write laws, then the requirement to be part of Parliament is that you have to be a lawyer. And there's 1 out of 15 that's a lawyer. So don't let people fool you about that. And the thing is they also need to make a budget to make sure in their cabinet they're not only hiring friends, but they have a lawyer in their cabinet that can do the work like me. When I was there, I had a lawyer. I think cabinet should have like two lawyers because of how much laws have to change here. The laws that we imported laws um, is the word, not imported. We inherited laws from the old Netherlands and Belize, and we haven't done our job to update them. And even let's say, even in my discussion with Melissa Guns, who I'm there with as part of PFP, we're discussing the faction staff, and I said, man, we need like two lawyers in the faction staff, but then we don't have budget for that. It's not just us. It's because which lawyer is going to come work for you for $2,500 for the work that you have to do? And I said, well, this is part of the changes you need to implement. And then also when we were talking about cabinets of the ministers, I said, my suggestion was, if I ever go back in as a minister, I'm going to make sure that I have two lawyers in my cabinet. That's the strength of any cabinet and any faction office. Traditionally, what's happened here, and let's just keep it real because I like keeping it real. Traditionally, what's happened here is you hired friends and supporters to work in your cabinets. Sometimes they might not have the expertise to do the job that you need them to do, but this was the traditional way of doing things. And you can do that by all means, but find the person's strengths to do it. But just know that at least one have to be a lawyer.
MP, now you guys have a formatter is Luc Marcelina. Now, normally the formatter is supposed to become the prime minister, if I'm not mistaken, not a rumor.
No,
Come from.
yeah.
So, who, as an MP today, you guys agree he will be the next prime minister of the country?
They have to go through the whole process.
Screening everything, but we know.
They have to go through the whole process,
Yeah.
sir.
So,
I mean, is that really how it's been? In the past, the formatter was the prime minister.
yeah, most of the time the prime minister
Really?
will go as formatter.
Really?
I believe so.
No, but
I
yes.
I believe so.
Dr. Mercelina is the formatter, and the process has started to go through with all the parties and talk to them of who are they presenting as candidates. Go through the whole screening process, which is pretty much the same, I think, for all of them, except for the prime minister and minister of finance. They have like an extra little thing because of the role, if I'm not mistaken. But it's all a very rigorous screening.
Okay.
You can take anywhere, I think, from like, if you have the stuff ready in advance and you know what's coming, you could take anywhere from like, I guess, a week for you to have all your stuff ready, or up to like a month and a half. So that process has started, and let's see what happens out of it.
But we know back in time you was Luc Marcelina was the same former party. How you feel about Luc Marcelina as a, because he's future prime minister of the country? What was your feeling the first negotiation when it come up, Luc Marcelina to be prime minister?
I was actually, no, let me take it to what do I think of him.
Yes.
Because I just smiled because I smiled at the fact that here we are at the table with certain persons that were part of the same team beforehand.
Yeah.
And now they're on different parties, but here they are congregating back together again. And the only thing you can take from that is obviously what was happening in one party was beyond a toxic environment. And it's not so much about you not being able to express yourself the way you wanted to. It's just it wasn't working. And sometimes a leader can make you or break you. And I think what happened is the leader broke a lot of stuff there in the old party. And that's why I said I smile. I smile because here you are across the table from someone that used to be part of the same team. Actually, more than one person that used to be part of the same team, and it's like, hey, fancy seeing you here. But that's how it is. I mean, if we're gonna talk the traditional St. Martin way, he is the second highest vote getter, I guess, and that says something in terms of what the people saw. And it's I mean, I think if we're already there. There's I don't know what you expect me to say. I can't say that I don't disagree with it, because if I disagree with it, I wouldn't be there.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the best explanation of it was I smiled.
But when you watch, I'm gonna call MP Grisha, Martin, you and future prime minister of the country, you guys do a karma to the ex-leader of party.
We didn't do anything. I
The
think
people- it's a
the
karma.
people did it. I don't know. You know, you using karma because you know I'm a yoga teacher. No, I don't think it's karma. Let's be real. I said this before, and I'll say it again. If you want to talk about somebody saying that they pass the most laws, make the most laws, do the most motions, it's not about what you think the work is. It's about what are you giving back to your people. How are you communicating with your people? Are you communicating for an elite few, or are you telling people I am the voice of all? That is it. You need people. You have to say that I'm going to be and I'm going to be your voice. I'm not saying about my little clique of friends over there who all want the permits and who all want to stay open late until all hours of the night, make it 24/7. Nightclubs in Martin, put a lot of skyscrapers here on the island, help us sing faster. I mean, I'm not catering to them. I'm catering to everyone. I'm not trying to make everybody happy. But I am trying to focus on the concerns of the people that are the most grave in the most organized fashion that I can, with the help of the team that I'm going in there with, which is the coalition that we're going in there with. That's the reality of it. You can't, I don't know if it's karma. I don't know. It might be karma, it might be Obel, it might be something, I don't know, evil eye, maybe all of that. But at the end of the day, the people have spoken. And I'm not even going to go into someone said, yeah, but the people didn't speak about some of the ones that they know that's going in with you. And I said, every dog does have his day. Because even you might, however means you got in there, if you are not deserving to represent the amazing people of this country, they will let you know. And I am a firm believer in that if you are not deserving to be the representative of these people, they will send you a message, whether it's through karma, you're going to get the message.
So MP, we see PFP get two big portfolios. If I'm not mistaken, you guys have growing.
You like to keep talking to me about this? Hey, but how many times you gonna try, sir?
I'm not trying. Hey, listen, we're having a conversation. I'm asking you some questions. So don't do me like some candidates who not answer.
No. I will be in a better position to tell you more later on, because it's so early in the process. We have made an agreement with each other to keep things very tight, not to keep it secret. It's a very rigorous process that the people are going through in terms of screening. What has happened in the past is that you hear all the rumors of who going in screening and then team pass and then they pass because they can't pass screening and all this stuff. And that's not the case. We literally started this week. What we are in the process of is presenting our candidates to the formatter. And then after that, we have to meet again. Actually, we're meeting several times a week to go over the accord, the program, putting it together, like I said, all the manifestos to find common ground. I really can't tell you more, not because I don't want to, just because right now it's too early to tell you that. And I don't want to let what I say lead a life of its own. I mean, I could tell you later on.
So we're waiting for the white smoke.
Yes, from the Vatican. Okay. We're waiting for the white smoke. Yeah, no. But the talks are ongoing. What I can say is there's 7 ministries that have to be divided by 4 parties representing 8 members of parliament. So let's be realistic. You cannot split one in 2. So it's gonna be that's part of the negotiation. That's the part of the difficulty of the negotiation. Is how are you gonna put 8 people in 7 places? So we have to be realistic and making sure that when I can tell you again from PFP, the person that is best for the position is one that we all agree on collectively. It has the best experience.
Ok.
Moi, je comprends pas qu'est-ce que tu m'as dit.
Mais c'est pas grave. On se comprend entre nous. Mais c'est pas grave. So, Saturday, you guys
swearing
Mediterranean, so I pay attention to the king. It goes so. I think it's so it'll go.
I mean, I think mine is to God.
I don't know.
No, we're taking the oath of office.
Mhm.
Yes, and we're all 15 of us are going to the governor's cabinet on Saturday morning, and you can take the oath where it's like one to God or just a declaration, and
Okay.
I solemnly swear to uphold the
Yeah. And
all that lovely stuff.
And 2 o'clock, you guys in Parliament. If not.
And we're in Parliament at 2 p.m. because we have to select the President of Parliament, the Vice President of Parliament, and the first Vice Chair and then the second Vice Chair. So that's which makes up the Presidium. The Presidium is pretty much the ones that are leading all of the discussions and making sure that we follow the rules.
Yeah. So and then when you guys sit on Saturday, so we know at what time do you guys question government about all question I asked the last your parliamentary, or do you guys come up with new questions to the new government?
No, actually, what happens is there's always a continuity in government.
Okay.
Just because the government changes in terms of who is there, there's a continuity that exists. Those are the civil servants that are keeping things moving all the time. And let's say if we had questions outstanding on GB and they still weren't answered, the people that ask those questions will just pass it on. Like let's say, for instance, to me, let's say I had questions outstanding, I will just send them back to them again and say, make sure when you come back into Parliament, you answer these questions. Or if it was in writing, you can send it back and say, hey, why don't you send it in writing? These are the questions that I had. You can send it in writing, or we call in at the meeting. You give them heads up and be like, hey, these were the questions that they had last meeting. We're sending it to you as a courtesy. Now, what I do have a problem with, and I will say this openly, when I left as minister, I had everything perfectly filed in my office so that anybody could have come in and pick up what they were doing.
Well, we know we don't answer.
Most people don't work like that. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm working for the people. I'm not working to make the other party look bad. Because when I'm doing that, I end up making myself and my country look bad. Because there's no continuity. You cost your country more when you have that egoist kind of attitude. And so it was actually one of the things we came up with, in this coalition forming discussion recently, where I said, "Oh, I was very different than most ministers because everything that came through my office is right there in a binder. It was probably filed the best it's ever been, labeled everything, and no one can ever tell me that I didn't do anything. Like I didn't do anything. I didn't leave it in a very easy way for you to pick up. In fact, even we left leaving notes for the next minister that would come in, and we gave it to the secretariat. The secretariat is the permanent, department that is working, and usually secretariat has a head, which is the SG, and then they have like a secretariat for every ministry. It kind of works like that. So when they have the council of minister meetings, they're the ones that are preparing everything from all the ministries together, making sure all the ministers have their stuff together, preparing the agenda, the meeting minutes, all of this. We even gave them leaving notes. That for me is a mature person who cares about their country.
Normally, it's so other country with ministry, when the minister leaving, only we don't do that. Like you ask, you complete the minister leaving. So, MP, we see new government coming up. Do we will see some change with you? Will you tell like your coalition partners if things are not winning? Will you in Parliament telling them, listen, this is not, you guys don't sweat it up in between, are you guys, before you guys come in Parliament?
What do you mean?
If they not agree something?
No. I mean, the thing is this. I don't think it doesn't matter who it is that is there. You can't tell me that just because it's your party, it's your coalition, it's your government that's in, that you're gonna just put on blinders when they're doing wrong. Because if you're just gonna put on blinders when they're doing wrong, then you're no help to the country. You're not doing anything good. And that's the same thing that I was doing before. I will continue to do. I'm not here to make anybody's life hell. I'm here to literally hold government accountable for doing what they have to do. And we have a plan in place that will be shared soon enough about what our priorities are. But our priorities are what the people voted for us on. So the priorities from PFP, the priorities from now, the priorities from DP, the priorities from URSM, they are the ones that people voted for them on. So that's where I'm telling you where we already went through the process of where the common ground and what is the most important for us at this moment. And quite frankly, it gives me a little hope in the way that our early conversations have started out, because when you're listening to things, you're like, one this person is like, yeah, that's important. I want that in. And I'm like, look at this. Look at this. That wasn't originally in your list, but look at this. That was in ours, or but and it's been like this across the board. And that's the exciting part of it, is that you're finding common ground now between four parties, and it gives you hope that, hey, if the process continues going this way, then we're good to go. One of the biggest motivators for the group is that the group is encouraged by what the St. Martin voters said. And when you combine them, and everybody keeps telling me this, that the four parties together have more than the current government, that's the outgoing government. And I said, yeah, but and they said, no, but you should remember that all the time and remind each other about that when things get tough, and they probably will get tough because nothing is easy. And they said, remember that with each other. And if different persons are already saying it to each other, as in, look at what St. Martin asked for. And I've been telling people that from the beginning. If you remember what the people wanted, if you remember that you're working for the people, then it should be very easy.
Every do countries St. Martin have money? Because you could.
Man, I tell you this last time, buddy. Why you ask me the question again for?
You're sure?
I'm not a minister. Listen, I'm not a minister of finance, right?
Okay.
But I can tell you straight up, it ain't all peaches and cream. It's not peaches and cream. Any person that will be going into the Ministry of Finance has to deal with the harsh reality, along with the other 6 ministers, that we're broke. What are you going to do in that? Like, what are you going to do in that time? And what are you going to do about that? Yes, you can go and ask Holland to help you, but you have to get the trust fund was based on an emergency situation happening, which is the hurricane, and they made funding available for it that came with it's kind of like you don't open the tap all the way, right? Only a little bit. In order for you to open the tap more, you have to follow certain rules, and then you can have it really flowing. And the rule part, and making sure certain things are done, that's where the challenge was really in government since the hurricane, was that they didn't really understand how to open that tap a little bit more, because they had to do stuff in order to have it flowing. But yeah, so you keep asking me this. This is the second time, okay, public. I know I'm giving him a hard time.
It's not true.
No, but you keep asking it, and I'm gonna keep telling you that is the challenge.
Okay.
That is very much a challenge. Money management has been a challenge for the country, and unless you are going to be very brave, you have to be a little bit, almost sometimes radical. Take a calculated risk and see what are the priorities for you to do for your country. Because St. Martin needs a chance to breathe. We need a chance to breathe. The way, like, something has got to give. Something's got to come out to help us. Because there's no way that we can continue doing what we were doing for all this time and think that anything's going to get better. Ain't nothing going to be getting better unless you fix what's making you money, which is your tourism product. You change up the tax structure a little bit. That's going to make it a little bit less of a burden on your businesses, on your individuals. That you have to be brave. I don't even know where it is. I gotta do this. I gotta share this. Hold on. We gotta share this. I'm not so fancy on what do you call it on what do you call it, on Facebook, right? So like one of the campaign teams, I just need to get her permission one day to call her name, so that I could just tell everybody about her, right? She was like, you need to get back online. You need to get back on social media. And I'm so grateful for her telling me, pushing me to do it. But man, sometimes you go down the rabbit hole on that and you can get stuck on it for a while. And that's why I didn't want to. But so a friend of mine who used to be my chief of staff in the cabinet, we always share articles with each other. And I got a article from him, and I took the quote from a UK newspaper, and it says what the UK really needs to do right now is reform a tax system that is so large and so complex that it is crushing the life out of the economy, destroying incentives to work, and deterring investment. We won't be able to break out of that doom loop easily, but we should at least make a start. Thanking the IMF for its advice, but firmly rejecting it would be a good place to start. And the reason that quote stuck with me is because we've had a minister that I've called out beforehand, lovely person, but I've called him out and I said, but all you doing is giving me an IMF budget, like we're always taking the advice of the IMF. The IMF, this is public, and I'm gonna say it in the nicest way I can. Just because they're the IMF doesn't make them the best. Their advice has worked for some countries. Their advice has not worked for other countries. So I am not saying that I am the best, but I just because it's coming from a respected entity like that doesn't mean I must take it and swallow it. I need to really be critical about what I am going to accept for my country. And if you're always going to take the advice of an international body that they're not here every day, man.
Mhm. Yeah.
They don't live our life every day.
Nope.
But if you're going to take that advice on them because they're shiny and they're big and they're global and they're international and they have important people working for them, then this is what you're going to get. You're not going to get anyone who's going to have big enough balls to say that I'm going to be radical and take a calculated risk in my radicalism to reform our tax structure. And I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record, but a big part of the boost we need on the Dutch side is we need to revisit our tax structure. It's not helping us. It's absolutely not helping us. So people think of, if we change our tax, we're not going to get money. Man, we're already struggling. We're already broke. But there's but you started off in a tiered approach. You can't change it all in one day. But we give them a blueprint for it in our PFP manifesto. Take it and copy it from beforehand. But hold on. It's 1958, man. We have 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. My last question before. Anyway, MP, we see the last one because just when you talk about tourism, the last time we had 6 boats in Point Tongue, that we say Point Blanche, and Lake Tongue were empty. And now we see the icon of the sea come up, and we know that's your field tourism. You know how to manage. How you see, like you had boats, some were empty, and now everybody want the icon of the sea to come on the island. But how you see icon of the sea come to St. Martin, and they had 4, 6 boats, and he had nobody in town.
I mean, the cruise ships have their excursions that they plan way in advance for their passengers, and their excursions might put them on a bus that takes them to go watch the planes landing overhead, or to take them to Orient, or take them to the waterfront in Marigot, or take them to the we call it the zip line. On the Dutch side, they have 2 of them, maybe one of the other zip lines on the French side. The reality is that's why they have excursion directors. They have activity directors to go plan what they do when they come on shore, in addition to just shopping in town or eating in our restaurants in town. That is the reality of what we have to deal with. And if you're not going to take that into account and have that in a dialogue, then you are going to miss out on having your town basically benefiting from the presence of those cruises. But you have to be realistic about it. And now the conversation is, okay, we'll call the cruise lines and say, why aren't you coming into town? They probably will tell you something along the lines of, well, we've had too many passengers that have fallen and, I don't know, cut their head open because your road is uneven. We have passengers that complain it's too hot on the boardwalk. We have passengers that complain that you have the cement old light lamppost stands with the 4 screws sticking out that are still there, and one knocked themselves out on it last time when they fell and hit it. That kind of thing. Okay. We don't like going to Phillipsburg because there's no place, like safe place to walk. That kind of thing. We had someone that was mugged in Front Street coming back to the port in the evening when it was dusk. I mean, hello. It's very, very easy things. It's a dialogue. Communication is important. If you want people to stay in town, you need to make sure town is worth staying there, like spending time in. But again, I gonna say this because I'm gonna tick off some people. Let me just say this.
You have 2 minutes.
Let me just say this. You've come into town lately. They have must have like 200 cement chairs.
Yes,
I
I
didn't
see
even
it.
think the cement benches have rebars in them. So the more you have sun on it, it's gonna just disintegrate. So for me, unfortunately, nice try, but do better next time. I don't know what kind of money they spent on that. I was really pissed. Yes, guys, I am interested in construction. I have been the bottom player. My father watching him in construction my whole life, so I know when a bench has
So your
rebar or not.
government have to fix those benches.
I know when you have rebars or not in a cement thing. A lot of them are already mashed up on the corners. I understand that you want to stop people from parking on the sidewalks because, quite frankly, if I could give them a boot for standing on the or clamp them on their wheels for being on the sidewalk, because the cars don't understand that when they park on the sidewalk, they're damaging the sidewalk. And then it's just they're and the persons can't even enter to some stores because you're blocking the stores. You don't have a sidewalk to walk on. And then you wonder why the cruise ships don't want to send their people in town because where are they gonna walk except on the hot boardwalk that don't have no shade? These are all the things I know because if I'm walking in town on the boardwalk, my 4-year-old nephew said, the twin nephew said, Auntie Ludi, it's too much sun. Can we walk somewhere else, please, in the shade? If a 4-year-old can tell you that, what do you think an adult is telling you? Especially an adult that is in a wheelchair. It's too hot, man. Let's just be real. I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm telling you the logic of it. And quite frankly, what the benches are a fail. They're a massive fail because of the fact that people are still moving them and they're still parking up on the sidewalk. And that's what really upset me is that you see somebody is making an effort to actually make something good because they don't have no seats in town, they don't have no places, they don't have no chairs, and they don't have no benches and no garbage bags, no garbage bins. But you're gonna leave the old rusty benches on the beach, that if you sit down could probably cut you. You're gonna leave the old ones. You're gonna leave the old cement blocks from the lights before, with the 4 screws sticking out, and you're gonna put these benches through and through town, but with no aesthetic way to lay it out. So some of them they're all different ways, and then there's people that are still doing what you were trying to avoid. So I don't know if the priority of the person making that decision was to give the contract to a friend, or if the priority was to really serve the purpose of stopping you from parking up on the sidewalk, allowing your citizens and your visitors to sit comfortably while they're shopping in your capital. Or I don't know. I mean, it was either your friend was making money from the contract, or you missed all the chances to do it 100%. You went. I can't even say you went halfway because you went 100% to whoever get a contract for it. And the person listening to me probably gonna get mad because I don't know who you are. But even if you were doing it, you should say, hey, if you put them out in the elements, the cement is gonna disintegrate eventually. Yeah. I mean, I might as well turn it into a sandbox. Because how are you gonna be eventually? Because they have no rebars in it. It's not protected from the elements. When you put water on cement, it disintegrates eventually. If you don't have it waterproof, I should confront that.
So MP, last word for tonight, because I believe
I don't give the last word already.
Okay, so that was MP. Thank you for passing through your radio conversation, and I hope to have you after maybe 6 months later.
No, man. No, we can do it from before. I know you wanted me to give you some media a little bit here tonight, but I can't do that yet, man. I can't. I'm not in a position to give you more information, other than the fact that, St. Martin, we hear you. We're doing exactly what you asked us for. You asked for change. We're in the process of organizing that change for you, and have a little patience with us, and we will be revealing it all to you soon once the process has properly gone through. Well, once we've properly gone through the entire process with the governor, with the formateur, and with the ministers going through their screen.
Folks, I had the MP Ludmila DeRivo in the house with me. Yes, I'm still alive after having an interview.
Come on, but today was calm, man.
Listen, only God know what I have to go through with this MP every time. So, guys, yes, I had the MP in the house with me. We talk about she government coming up. You know, this next government, the 2x4 government will coming up, and let's see. You know, because
Can
you
you
guys
change that name?
the 2x4.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's change like a 2x4. I mean,
You just talk about construction, so you know. Anyway, so
I'll come up with another one.
okay, I'll wait for it. So, folks, yeah, I had the MP. We talk about this and the government what she been doing. Saturday, 10 o'clock, I believe she will be a new MP again. I don't know if she got changed, but she gonna be a new MP. And let's see the people. I always say, well, give the people what they ask. So the people ask. Let's see, because these new MPs in Parliament, they will have a strong opposition like we have in the French side. So you know the opposition that are going to do the job, and then let's see what's gonna happen. And then voila, comment gagner. So folks, you know, from tomorrow we in the Bacchanal Carnival French side start, and don't forget support Carnival. Saturday morning we have Juve. Be safe, young people. Behave by yourself. Listen, all the nonsense I want to do, leave it at home. Enjoy yourself, and don't forget you have Saturday afternoon games in Margot. It sounded like I was in a Carnival committee, but anyway. And don't forget too, the Saturday night you have the fellow who was in Youthwave, the new fellow Youthwave get the fellow he had locks, they cut it and they bring him back. So he gonna be there with Malaika, the rest of them with wine and jazz. So that's gonna be up in the Orient Bay. And don't forget to come out support. And Sunday afternoon, MP, don't forget, I know you don't come to French often, but don't forget they have the big parade in Margot. So come out and support, and you know, come out and support.
What day is the parade?
Parade is Saturday, Sunday afternoon.
And when you there for the games?
The game is Saturday afternoon.
What's that? What happened?
That's the time you bring all your nephews, because you know your family big, and you pay not $100, $100, and you play games in Margot.
Very nice.
Yes.
Who's hosting that?
The Carnival Committee.
Nice.
Okay. Yes.
Sounds good.
But it's Carnival Committee, do you got a song good? They work good now. They even got the president come up from his seat and say, listen, I do a good job. And you see, the Carnival have so much power. That make months we waiting for LRT to fly. Sunday LRT will fly. So folks, be safe. So folks, be safe, enjoy yourself, and listen, take care of yourself, and see you guys not next week. You know it's Mardi Gras. We're gonna be in Mardi Gras after Juve, Mardi Gras, all of them. See you back jeudi. I don't know who else I know. It can't be an MP again. It will not be the River, but I should have a politician in the house. So guys, take care of yourself. Bye bye. Okay.
Machin masse l'avancée. Hey, mi masse l'arrivée. Mi masse la. Mi masse l'arrivée. Mi masse la. Ça c'est fois la pète est sec. Mi masse la. Ça c'est mon la crier. Mi masse la. On ne veut pas de la violence, on veut sauter. Sauter, sauter, sauter. Sauter, 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 sauter. On ne veut pas de la violence, on veut nous qu'a fait sa pop, nous pas là pour choquer. Mon amasque arrive si ou pas choqué. Sous pas ça marcher, foutez aussi côté. On ne veut pas de la violence, on veut mettez toute colère en cieux. Laissez des gens marrons, feu, son cas c'est bien. on rentre au local.